friends, today we're going to read Wombat Stew. I've got a bit of a tatty book here, but that means it must be a good story. So, Wombat Stew. You've got a dingo here with a little stew pot and a wombat hanging out of it. Oh no. One day on the banks of a billabong, a very clever dingo caught a wombat. Look, there he is with his pot and the wombat. And decided to make, look, he's jumping up and down. What's he going to make? Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Look at that. The wombat doesn't look very happy, does he? I don't think he wants to be turned into stew. Platypus came ambling up the bank. Good day, Dingo, he said, snapping his bill. What is all that water for? I'm brewing up a gooey, chewy stew with that fat wombats, replied Dingo with a toothy grin. So there's Platypus here with his little hat and his corks to keep the flies away. Here we go. Dingo's very excited, isn't he? He's got a big smile on his face. He's got his little pot full of water that's spilling out. If you ask me, said Platypus, the best thing for a gooey stew is mud. Big blops of billabong mud. Blops of mud, Dingo laughed. What a good idea. Righto, in they go. So Platypus scooped up big blops of mud with his tail and tipped them into the billy can. Look at this. Platypus looks very sly there. He's hitting up all the mud and putting it into our billy can with our water. Do you think mud would taste very nice in a wombat stew? I suppose we'll have to find out, won't we? Look at this. It's on the fire. It's boiling up. Around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. So look, he's dancing. Oh, who's that? Is that a kookaburra? I wonder what kookaburra is going to say. Maybe he's just happy it's not kookaburra stew. Waltzing out from the shade of the ironbarks came Emu. She arched her graceful neck over the brew. Oh, ho, Dingo, she fluttered. What have we here? Gooey, chewy, wombat stew, boasted Dingo. If only it were a bit more chewy, she sighed. But don't worry, a few feathers will set it right. Feathers, Dingo smiled. That would be chewy. Righto, in they go. So into the gooey brew, Emu dropped her finest feathers. Look at this. There's lovely Emu and Dingo. He's licking his lips, isn't he? There she is. She's dropping in her finest feathers into this lovely stew. So now we've got the water and the mud and the feathers. Turning into a bit of an odd stew, isn't it? Around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy, wombat stew. So there's Wombat and there's Platypus, and Wombat looks worried and Platypus looks worried and Emu looks worried. And Dingo, he's having the time of his life, isn't he? And there's our kookaburra again. Old Blue Tongue the lizard came sliding off his sun-soaked stone. Dingo, he hissed. There are no flies in this stew. Can't be wombat stew without crunchy flies in it. And he stuck out his bright blue tongue. There's a lot to be said for flies, agreed Dingo, rubbing his paws together. Righto, in they go. So Lizard snapped up 100 flies from the air with his long tongue and flipped them into the gooey, chewy stew. Look at that, 100 flies, wow. There he is. He's crawled down. He's a very big lizard, isn't he? Look at that. I bet he's a bit sad he didn't get to eat those flies. It is a very bright blue tongue though, isn't it, with the flies on it? Around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy, wombat stew. He's laughing around this billy. And you've got the blue-tongued lizard and emu. And here's our platypus. Up through the red dust popped Echidna. There's Echidna. Oh, look at that. Our kookaburra is shaking off the dust. Wait a bit, not so fast, he bristled, shaking the red dust from his quills. Now I've been listening to all this advice, and take it from me. For a munchy stew, you need slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. But there he is, he's poking his nose, says, you listen to me, Dingo. Dingo wagged his tail. Why, I should have thought of that. Righto, in they go. So Echidna dug up all sorts of creepy crawlies and dropped them into the gooey, chewy, crunchy stew. Look at that one. He's screaming. He's like, no, don't put me in the stew. Yeah, I don't think any of these bugs want to go in that stew. But they are very colourful, aren't they? The very clever Dingo stirred and stirred, all the while singing. Wombat stew, hot and spicy, oh so nicey, wombat stew. So you've got Dingo with his stew, and you've got blue-tongued lizard, and Wombat looking very nervous. Emu, Echidna, and Platypus, he's looking nervous too, isn't he? Just then the sleepy-eyed koala climbed down the scribbly gum trees. Look here, he yawned. Any bush cook knows you can't make a spicy stew without gum nuts. Leave it to koala to think of gum nuts, Dingo laughed and licked his whiskers. Righto, in they go. And into the gooey, chewy, crunchy, munchy stew, koala shook lots and lots of gum nuts. Look at this. Koala looks very tired, doesn't he? And here he is hanging off there, putting all these lovely gum nuts and gum leaves in there. Certainly going to be an interesting stew, isn't it? Aha, cried Dingo. Now my stew is missing only one thing. What's that? Asked the animals. That fat wombat. Oh no, look at him, he's drooling. And there's poor wombats on the ground. Oh no, what are we going to do? Wait, stop! Hang on, Dingo. You can't put that wombat into the stew yet. All the other animals are trying to stop him. I wonder what's going to happen. Why not? You haven't tasted it. Righto, I'll taste it. And that very clever Dingo bent over the billy and took a great big slurp of stew. Ah, gruff. I'm poison, he howled. You've all tricked me. Look at him. He's clutching his throat. Oh, look at that. And he dashed away deep into the bush, never again to sing. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Look at this, our wombat looks very happy, doesn't he? There you go, that's the end of our story of Wombat Stew.